The Temple Owls are coming off of a week of rest, and they're going to need it.
With the green wave rolling north, Tulane is looking to spoil Temple's senior day and a bowl party.
I'm Miles Thurston, live from Edward Olson Hall. The football season is inching closer to an end. That means it's time to celebrate the seniors and hopefully bowl eligibility. I'll take a look.
And I'm Kayla Levine. Later in the show, we'll highlight my sit-down interview with one of those seniors in Evan Simon. He's talking about the bye week, his final game, bowl game eligibility, and life after Temple football.
And I'm Haley Smith. Later, I'll take a look at how the contenders are doing in the American as many fight for those 2 spots in the title game. Inside the Nest is live and starts right now.
Hello and welcome into another episode of Inside the Nest right here in TV Studio 3. It's a 30-minute bye week edition. As always, I'm Pat Dallahan and he's Xavier Adams.
Temple football should have fresh legs, and the Owls are going to need them. Awaiting them this Saturday is the Tulane Green Wave, one of the top teams in the conference. Temple is still fighting for win number 6, but chances are starting to look slim.
Let's take a look at what is at stake on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'll start with Tulane. Obviously, 8 wins on the season, fighting for their 4th consecutive American Conference Championship game berth. A win on Saturday would inch them a little bit closer to that. Obviously, they've gotten some help from other teams in the past weeks or so.
Absolutely.
And it could be one of John Summerall's last games as the head man in New Orleans. So something to keep an eye on there, especially with the coaching carousel starting to get going. Summerall could be out.
It could be, yeah. It's a huge game, not only because Temple could potentially have win number 6 in bowl eligibility, but Tulane is still trying to fight for that top conference spot. Navy lost to North Texas a couple weeks ago, which helped them out tremendously. And now Navy plays Memphis next week. If Tulane wins this game and if Navy loses, suddenly Tulane is in a position where they're at the top of the conference now. So huge results either way for either side, especially when you consider that Temple is playing their senior day.
Yeah, Xavier and I have talked about how good Tulane is, but let's hear what KC Keeler and company had to say about the Green Wave on Monday.
Tulane's really good. There's a reason why they're nationally ranked. Quarterback's a stud. I was hoping he wasn't as athletic as he is, but boy, he can make you pay if you get out of your lanes. He can pull the ball down, some quarterback draws and those kind of things. You know, really talented wide receivers. Like it's a really impressive group. They do a great job protecting them. Defensively, they're really physical. It's going to be a great challenge, and again, I think our kids have some confidence in that we've been in. You know, we've played, except East Carolina, who I think is really good. I think that's a real sleeper. I think, except for that game, you know, we've played everyone in our conference pretty much toe to toe, and so again, be a great way to, you know, get to bowl eligibility, and also a great way to thank our seniors on the way out. So,
yeah, very talented. I know they're a little banged up, just like every other team in the country. You know, watched a couple of their games multiple times. Super talented, very good scheme, but there is those voids out there, and they let up some explosives, but obviously respect them a lot, and we're going to have to play really good.
Like they're going to come out and play football. Like they're going to do what they do. You're going to have to come out and stop them. So that's a good thing. You know, I kind of like playing better opponents because, you know, when they come out there on Saturdays, they're not really trying to trick you. They believe in their players, and they're going to do what they got to do, just run what they run. And that's good for us. So.
How good is Tulane? Well, pretty darn good. And the Green Wave showed it early against FAU. First drive for the Owls, Caden Veltkamp taking a deep shot for Jayshon Platt, but it takes a high bounce right into the hand of Tulane's Bailey Despani. About 6 minutes later, Tulane turns the tide and opens up the scoring. Wide receiver Jimmy Callaway takes the end around in for 6 to give Tulane an early lead. Next drive for FAU, Veltkamp lets it fly again, this time a much better result. He finds Easton Messer over the middle for a huge gain of 50 yards, way deep into Tulane territory. But there wasn't much more offense in that drive for FAU. After that, the Owls settled for 3. First play of the second quarter, 4th down, Tulane QB Jake Retzlaff takes an end zone shot to Bryce Bohannon. It's caught. Green Wave boosts their lead to 11. 4th down for FAU now. Veltkamp says it's his turn. He fires the tight window throw to Platt to cut the Green Wave lead to 1 score. Retzlaff says, not so fast. He responds to Veldkamp's TD with another of his own. This time he finds Anthony Miller Jr., and the Green Wave take a 21-10 lead into half.
Into the second half we go. More misdirection from the Tulane offense. Receiver Anthony Brown-Stevens takes the end around for a gain of 15 to FAU's 8. Very next play, running back Jamari McClure finishes the drive with an 8-yard touchdown rush. Tulane ends the third up 28-10. 4th and goal at the top of the fourth quarter. FAU needs it and gets it. Caden Shields-Dutton punches it in from the 1. Following the same wave, Tulane is at the goal line, and Retzlaff just wills his way in on the tush push. Tulane still up 35-16. FAU wants the score to not look as bad, so they hit Easton Messer for a 12-yard touchdown catch, but from there, Tulane just bleeds the clock with first downs and secures its 8th win on the season. Bourbon Street might be getting active early tonight. Green Wave win 35-24. The stats can be deceiving in a game like this. FAU's offense seemingly put up good numbers, being led by quarterback Caden Veldkamp, who had 375 yards and 2 touchdowns. The uh-oh arrives when you realize it was on 57 attempts with 39 completions. The Green Wave defense forced 4 turnovers, and that allowed the offense to flourish. Jake Retzlaff threw for 241 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Jamari McClure led the ground game with 10 carries and a touchdown in the win. So, Pat, Tulane obviously is coming to play Temple.
Right.
And it's a huge game for the Owls. They're obviously trying to reach win number 6 in bowl eligibility. But Retzlaff is seemingly one of the few quarterbacks that can outplay Evan Simon in this game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Jake Retzlaff. He's their leading rusher.
Yeah.
They feel very confident with him tucking it and running. A lot of RPOs in their offense. They love to play really, really fast.
Yes.
They operate in the no-huddle offense, something that Temple has really struggled with all season long. You saw what happened when they played ECU. And I don't want to bring up like Oklahoma and Georgia Tech because those teams, you know, fighting for spots in the college football playoffs, so it's a little bit different. But the Tulane offense, obviously, you know, they run the ball 53% of the time for 4.8 yards per carry. I've talked about the Temple rush defense enough on this show.
Yeah.
It's really bad. It hasn't been good all season long. Maybe against UTSA, they were very good. They stopped Robert Henry Jr., but I'm not feeling so confident for this defense, especially against a unit of this caliber.
Yeah, Pat, there's a special term I'd like for this run defense, and I call it Swiss cheese. You know, it stinks in
the
there's holes.
nosebleed defense,
Yeah.
they can't stop one?
No, it stinks and there's holes all over the place. But the problem with Temple is that the dual threat quarterback has given them so many problems all season long. Look at both academy games with Blake Horvath or Cale Halens. Like you said, John Mateer in Oklahoma. The dual threat quarterback gives this team so many problems because they're not good at defending the run. And when you have a quarterback that's already throwing for 2,200 yards on the season and then also leads his team with rushing yards with about 560 yards on top of that, it makes it a ridiculous task for this defense and one that I don't really see them succeeding in.
But you did point something out to me the other day that I turned a blind eye to. Temple's pass defense is top 20 in America.
20th in the nation.
Right, so that's something to keep an eye on, and maybe Tulane's going to focus on pounding the rock just a little bit more. They obviously feel comfortable with Retzlaff making plays with his arm and his legs, so that's something to keep an eye on for Saturday.
Absolutely.
But here's what you need to know about Saturday's matchup against the Green Wave. It's the first meeting they've had since 2019. That's also the last season that Temple was bowl eligible, so something to keep an eye on. But since 2019, the Owls haven't been so stellar. Temple has dropped the last 2 matchups against Tulane and has been outscored by a ridiculous 90-9 in those games.
Yikes.
Saturday's matchup will be broadcasted nationally on ESPNU, and kickoff is set for 3:45. But it's just about time for our first break of the show, but don't touch that dial.
When we return, we're breaking down some film from the Owls' next nationally ranked opponent.
But before we get to that, I'll focus on Temple's seniors and what it means for them to get this win on their home field. And bowl eligibility is still on the table for the Owls. I'm Inside Nest beat reporter Miles Thurston, live from Edward Orson Hall. It's all coming up in 90 seconds. Welcome back. When the Owls face off against Tulane this Saturday, it will be the team's 3rd ranked opponent this year. That's a tough way to say goodbye to more than 24 seniors that will be honored before kickoff. It's one last fly-in for the Owls, and one last opportunity to make a statement in front of their home crowd. mean, I kind of knew that this season would fly by because they all do. So it's not really a surprise. It's just the next game. So.
Yes, it's the next game, but it's also the last home game for many Temple seniors who will be honored on Saturday when Tulane comes to town.
I mean, I've thought of this game coming up, probably 8 weeks ago. I'm like, it's going to be here before we know it. It's another Saturday where I get to go play football with the boys.
This Saturday's game against Tulane will be 27 seniors' last game as an Owl at Lincoln Financial Field. That includes notable single-digit leaders such as Evan Simon, Alan Hay, and Sekou Kroma.
What a great way to send out our seniors. We have a nationally ranked team coming in here, and last time to play at the Linc.
Tulane will be the Owls' highest-ranked conference opponent so far this season, and the Green Wave come to town with the Owls still looking for win number 6 to become bowl eligible.
And so, again, be a great way to, get to bowl eligibility, and also a great way to thank our seniors on the way out. So
we're one win away, and I'll talk to you next time and tell you this program's changed. And getting the sixth win will mean the world.
Finishing off with the win is not just for the seniors, but it will be further proof that this team is headed in the right direction. There is little question. This program is better off today than it was when any of these players arrived. Though it's the last game at Lincoln Financial Field in 2025, it won't be the last chance for the Owls to claim bowl eligibility. They have one more game against North Texas down in Texas. Live from Edward Olson Hall, I'm Miles Thurston. Pat and Xavier, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Miles. The guys on 10th and Diamond have started breaking down some film on the Green Wave, so Xavier and I decided we should probably do the same.
That's exactly right, and so that's why Pat and I hopped in the car, drove 18 hours each way, broke into the film room, and got some plays to break down from the opposition.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Sure. So starting with my play, we're going to be looking at one that I picked almost out of sheer audacity, Pat. And it's because 4th and 6, top of the second quarter, the statistics say do not go for this.
No.
But when you have Jake Retzlaff, you can do just exactly that. Bryce Bohannon makes an easy catch because Jake Retzlaff practically walked up the ball and handed it to his chest. Another angle is going to show the perfect separation that he gets on this play. He just proves week in and week out why he's one of the best and one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the American Conference, Pat. That is my play of the week.
Perfect throw. Looks like me out there. I say it every week. On to my play. It's Jake Retzlaff again. The play action. You can see the man coming in motion from right to left. Retzlaff finds Anthony Miller in the end zone for the touchdown. Obviously, we spoke so much about how much they use the play action, the run pass option, the running threat.
Absolutely.
And you can see that FAU really sells out to stop the run on that play. It's a really dynamic offense. FAU was on their toes. A celebratory fist bump there from QB1, and that is my play of the week. But we're already up on our second break of the show. Don't go anywhere.
When we come back, it's prediction time. Everyone on the staff has made their picks.
And also on the other side, my sit-down interview with Evan Simon that includes his talk about Coach Casey Keeler and the QB's plans for the future. Inside the Nest will be back in 90 seconds. Welcome back. I'm Al Sports Update's Kayla Levine. Our timing is strong today on Inside the Nest. With senior day approaching, I had a chance to sit down with quarterback Evan Simon to talk about a wide range of topics, including life after Temple. But the first question I asked him centered on the major difference between this year's team that already has 5 wins versus last year's team that ended the season with just 3 games in the win column.
First things first is bringing in the man, Coach Keeler. Ever since he's got here, he's done a fantastic job. Within those first 4 days of him getting hired, a bunch of us went to his press conference. He met with each individual player one by one in those 4 days and, kind of see where the program's at. Got a good gist of what's going on and what needs fixed. And, he made a lot of those changes and culture. Coach brought in this packed culture and it's just been phenomenal. And then, we have 2 games left to get our 6th win and, that's all we're focused on, truly.
And you only have 1 interception so far this season compared to your 9 last season in 2024. Yes, knock on wood. What changes have you made in your passing game this season compared to last? Are you a better player, or is there a different fundamental process here?
One thing I really prioritize is preparation. There's been several games where I kind of know what they're going to come out in and, within this formation and where the ball's probably going to go. But yeah, a lot of preparation. We do a great job in the quarterback room with Coach Walker, and it's not so much what the other team does, but it's how well do we know our own plays.
You have been named to 2 different watch lists, the Manning Award watch list and the Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year watch list. What does that mean to you, and what kind of impact has that made on you both on and off the field?
Yeah, really cool. Got a lot of support, great text from that stuff, but how I look at it is I call it rat poison. It's something that can consume your mind and kind of take your mind to another place, other than putting this football team first. So, it's awesome, really cool. Got back to a lot of people with, thank you and stuff like that, but not our end goal here.
Yeah, and you're coming up on your last home game of this season. You guys are 5-5 on the season right now. What are you looking to have coming from this last game, and it also being your senior year?
Yeah, that was quick. Was thinking about this moment early in the season, and I knew it was going to be here eventually, and it's been a long ride and super fun, but we have this bye week coming up, and we're just going to take advantage of all of it.
And do you see yourself playing football after college?
Absolutely. I try not to think about it, but absolutely I'm going to hit that, full speed when the time comes. I didn't really think that would ever really be an opportunity, but we'll go at it full speed.
That was Owl Sports Update's Kayla Levine, but now it's time for our weekly picks. Following Temple's loss in Army 2 weeks ago, we saw some more movement in the standings. My brave pick of Army vaulted the kid himself in the first place, holding a 1-game lead over the rest of the ITN crew. But that's enough bragging from me, at least for now. But let's get to picking. X-Man, lead us off.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more from you, Pat, but when looking at these two teams and comparing their strengths and weaknesses, it just makes Tulane an easy lock for me. The two things that the Owls have struggled all year with is stopping the run and containing dual-threat quarterbacks. And unfortunately for them, that is exactly what awaits them with this Tulane team. Jake Retzlaff is having an electric year passing and is already leading his team in rushing yards. This is going to give this team a lot of problems, and I think Tulane wins this one 28-17.
Really sharp pick, X-Man. You're following my lead. You've heard me voice my concerns with the Temple defense all season long, and I won't stop just yet. With how dynamic Tulane's offense is, it could be another long week for the Owls. The Green Wave offense generates 412 yards per game, good for 45th in America. Temple has allowed 864 yards of offense and 568 yards on the ground in the last 2 games. I can't say that I'm confident they'll hold up against Tulane. The Green Wave roll 24-10. Miles, let's hear it.
Yes, Pat, I have to agree with you. Temple's defense will again be the focus of this game. And to say it will be a long day for the defense is an understatement. Tulane is a playoff caliber team and will give the Owls fits. That being said, it is senior day, and the Owls are looking for their 6th win for the 3rd week in a row. But the facts say Tulane gains more yards per game and gives up fewer points per game than Temple. So I'm going with the Green Wave, 31-10.
I picked the Owls to pull off wins in their last 2 games, and they didn't show up for me. So this week, I'm going to have to take Tulane to win. I got worried by the offense against ECU, where Temple had only 82 rushing yards, and the Owls didn't look much better against Army in a low-scoring loss 1 week later. Tulane is coming off a win against FAU after beating Memphis, a top team in the conference, the week before. I think it's going to be another long afternoon for the Owls. Tulane wins 45-10. The American is approaching the end of the regular season with plenty of teams still on the hunt for the conference championship. Let's take a look at how some of these teams fared in Week 12. The Midshipmen put another win on the board Saturday after beating nationally ranked South Florida. The final score 41-38. UTSA grabbed another victory with a win over Charlotte 28-7. This brings UTSA to 3-3 in the American Conference. Golden Hurricane took on Oregon State and found its 3rd win of the season after keeping the Beavers scoreless for the first 3 quarters. The final 31-14. North Texas finished Week 12 with a win over UAB 53-24. This is the Mean Green's 5th game of the season, scoring more than 50 points. Memphis and East Carolina were tied heading into the 4th quarter before the Pirates pulled off the win 31-27. And finally, Tulane picked up another conference win on Saturday against Florida Atlantic, 35-24. This brings the Green Wave to 5-1 in the American. Overall, there are 4 teams in the American with just 1 loss: Navy, North Texas, Tulane, and ECU. My top players this week come from teams who could end up seeing each other at the conference championship. I'll start with my offensive player, North Texas freshman running back Caleb Hawkins. Hawkins scored 5 of the Mean Green's 7 touchdowns in the team's win over UAB. He leads his team with 933 rushing yards this season. My defensive player of the week is East Carolina defensive back Jamarlee Riddle. He recorded 9 total tackles, including a tackle for loss in the Pirates' win over Memphis. Riddle leads his defense in tackles and interceptions. There are plenty of teams at the top of the conference that have a real chance of competing for the American Championship, and there are just 2 more weeks left to find out who those teams will be. We'll have a clear picture after Thanksgiving. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Inside the Nest beat reporter Haley Smith. Happy holidays, guys.
Yeah, happy holidays to you and yours too, Haley. But we're up on our 3rd and final break of the show, which can only mean one thing. It's almost time for Pulse Check.
When we return, we will recap yet another wild weekend in the world of college football. Inside the Nest is back in 90.
Welcome back to Inside the Nest. X-Man, you know what time it is.
I sure do. It's time for the Pulse Check, the weekly segment where Pat and I take a look around the college football landscape. And Pat, we have to start with South Carolina and Texas A&M. Texas A&M, the largest comeback in program history. They came back 27 points in the second half. What did you see in that game?
Well, I'm a hater at heart. I'm not a Shane Beamer guy. I'm not a South Carolina guy. This loss put a pretty big smile on my face.
Yeah.
Lenore Sellers and Marcel Reed, the quarterback play in this game was just far too inconsistent for both teams' liking. But you got to give credit to Texas A&M and Marcel Reed specifically. Yeah. So much moxie. They scored 4 straight touchdowns in the second half to take the lead. I'm not sure if that says more about South Carolina's nosebleed defense. They can't stop one. Or if it says a lot more about Texas A&M, because in years past, they just would have crumbled and lost that game.
Yeah, well, it helps when you're being led by a top 3 Heisman candidate in Marcel Reed. But what I've noticed is that defense is taking over college football, and Oklahoma proves it here. Oklahoma had 3 turnovers for 17 points to beat Alabama recently. They beat Tennessee the week prior. They come in and beat Alabama. They give Kalen DeBoer his first loss at Saban Field. Oklahoma had only 6 turnovers in 2 games, and they've had 4 in the 7 previous that they've had now. So it's been absolutely electric defensively, and it's really starting to see it just take over the rest of the league.
Yeah, heading into this season for Oklahoma, talking heads around the sport were saying Brent Venables could be on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Not anymore. That could not be more false. Wins over Michigan, Tennessee, and Alabama.
Yeah.
Obviously, the loss to Texas earlier in the year hurts their resume just a little bit, but you got to give them credit.
Yeah, with this, they've crept back into the top 10 now.
Yeah, there was a lot of doubt heading into this season about them, but a team that didn't have so much doubt heading into them this year, them dogs, the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart versus Steve Sarkisian, there's levels to this.
It has to
right?
be.
There's a reason there's a guy coaching in this game that's won 2 national championships back-to-back in 2022 and 23, and they're red hot right now, Xavier.
No, this Georgia team looked the most aggressive we've seen them all year long. They went out and they wanted to beat Texas convincingly. They had a 4th quarter onside kick recovery, and they were already up. That's crazy to me, but Gunnar Stockton with 4 touchdown passes, they're fighting for that. They're trying to get back into that top spot conversation with the SEC, even though the season is coming to a close. But yeah, Georgia Tech is a force to be reckoned with, and I do not see them slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, Georgia already locked in to one of the spots in the SEC championship game. So it'll be interesting to see how those top 4 spots in the college football playoff shape up as the year goes on.
Absolutely. But that's all the time we have for today, unfortunately. But thank you all so much for being here. As always, I'm Xavier Adams, and he's Pat Dallahan.
Yeah, we are back with Inside the Nest after Thanksgiving break. Maybe with the bowl-eligible team, maybe not. Either way, enjoy your turkey and be safe.